Hey, this is JGen11. I'm back with another video. I know it's been a while since I've last posted, but I've been struggling in Go Battle League for quite a while, and I didn't really want to showcase a team that I didn't believe in or wasn't doing particularly well in. Entering play on Sunday, I was sitting in the 2600s, and then by Monday, I was able to hit Legend. And we'll get right into the battles, but we're showing Galvantula, Swampert, and Galarian Stunfisk, with Stunfisk being the safe switch generally. But it can be Swampert as well. So we see Charm Ninetales on the lead. Just because Galvantula is really glassy, it doesn't particularly appreciate the charms. There's only a couple of things you really need to watch out for with the Galvantula lead, namely Galarian Stunfisk and Bastiodon, which we have good coverage in the back with Swampert and our own Galarian Stunfisk. So we switch out of the opening matchup because Galvantula, I was making a read that it could do well in the back against something that they had. Unfortunately, we get Hydro Pumped, but we're able to get a free Volt Switch here. I always try to wait out the switch clock just to ensure that the switch clock will eventually come back up. But unfortunately, they have a Galarian Stunfisk and they're ahead on energy. So we'll do a safety shield, but then he tries to catch the move and was about one mud shot too early, but I wasn't going to throw right away. And by trying to catch there, that gave me the only win con, or one of the only win cons was a failed sack because I can now generate a lot of energy on the farm down. So those Volt Switches in the beginning came in handy to allow that farm down on the rock slide later. And so at this point, I have too much health on both things for Stunfisk to take out. And that is a good game. Galvantula into Bastiodon. So this is one of the couple things you absolutely don't want to see. And then we get Mew on the counter swap to Stunfisk. This is a fairly neutral matchup. Generally favorable to Mew if it's running Surf, though. So we're just going straight rock slide here, trying to take shield advantage. And we're able to get a shield, even though we didn't build up to the Earthquake. So at this point, we're fairly happy that we're able to get a shield, and we're going to have to generally, or most likely, have to rely on Swampert to win us this game. But a very interesting play to wild charge my electric type and then to switch in Bastiodon by my opponent. You generally never want to switch Bastiodon in during a match unless you know the entire back line of an opponent. Just because it wins hard and it loses hard. And so if you have a situation where it loses hard, it'll put you behind in the match by a lot. So like I'm able to farm up to 100 energy on Swampert and able to throw a bunch of moves at whatever's left. So it is a Pelipper. I probably should have not baited all these times, because he's probably saving the shield for a Galvantula, but one sludge doesn't kill anyway. So this is a very tricky endgame here, because I have very little health on Galvantula. And then by actually him throwing that move allows my Volt Switch to go through and KO the Mew. And then I have a loaded discharge ready for the Pelipper. If he didn't throw that, or throw a charge move, I think I lose that game. But that was a good game. Next match, Galvantula into Skarmory. This is the dream. All three of my Mons handle it at least okay. But very curious that he's staying in. That generally gives me a sign that he's got something else weak in the back to Galvantula. There's a lot of teams out there in the meta that are single weak or even double or triple weak to Galvantula. So I'm reading this and I'm thinking, you're thinking like, this is crazy. Why would you switch out of a Skarmory as a Galvantula? Well, I was trying to preserve it in case they had something else that Galvantula could have a good matchup with. Unfortunately, he doesn't switch out of the Skarmory, and figures, yes, another thing that's weak to Galvantula in the back with an Azumarill right here. The Azumarill matchup is not that bad for Stunfisk, particularly if they don't have Hydro Pump. So 2 Earthquakes almost takes out the Azumarill. And then he brings in Sableye. This is somewhat of a misplay looking back on it, because he's able to farm down the Galvantula, although he is debuffed. So I'm not shielding any of this stuff from Sableye. But then I lose a CMP race on the next one. I'm not sure if I should have shielded that or not. I'm not sure how much or how close Azumarill was to a move. And Azumarill did have a move. Unfortunately, it's a play rough. I get taken out, and then it's a race at the end, and we actually end up tying. So the whole team was kind of weak to Galvantula, but we're not quite able to pull it out. Meganium lead. This is the place you'd probably want to see Meganium if it was anywhere on the team. Unfortunately, they were able to catch a lunge. But the good news is that, like we saw in the previous game, we can Rock Slide most likely and farm down with that chip damage. And so puts it in perfect farm down range. Unfortunately, the Meganium has a move, so if we're gonna want to do anything, we're probably gonna have to shield. And we end up shielding because we can probably get off 3 Rock Slides before they get off another Frenzy. And so we make it to the 3rd one. See if they want to shield it. Nope, we end up taking it out. And then they have a Sunny Cast Form, and I make a boneheaded, I just blind swapped to Galvantula. And I'm like kicking myself, like, why did I blind swap into a fire type? And then I go for the bait lunge. And they didn't shield, of course. A lot of people kind of expect the lunge. And so we're actually in a tough spot here. Because Sunny Cast Form gets Solar Beam, which can one-shot us. And we get baited right there. So we have to... I think I have to sack is what I'm thinking here. That's why I throw the Hydra. I don't think I'm getting to 3 charge moves before they get fainted down. And so we're actually able to catch a Solar Beam, which is why counting moves matters, but I wasn't actually counting that time. I was just getting like a feel for the game. Yeah, so Galvantula into Deoxys. This is a decent matchup for us. It's kind of an annoying matchup to be in because of how fast it gets to the Psycho boost. I actually make a weird play and try to catch a Rock Slide on Galarian Stunfisk, but you never kind of know when Deoxys are going to throw because they also have Psycho boost a lot of times, which will lower their attacks, so they can sometimes try to get to 100 energy before throwing, or sometimes they'll throw as soon as they get one and switch out. So it's really hard to catch, but I was thinking like, hey, they're getting a lot of energy. We'll just try it here. But this is a fine matchup. It's slightly favorable for Stunfisk here into Umbreon. So I go for the aggressive swap back into Galvantula. I've already seen 2 things that are weak to it. Possibly there's a third that could be weak to it based on that shield. I end up shielding a Psycho boost. Feels bad since it was already debuffed, but we're coming out of here with a lot of energy. So Azumarill, so this is one of the teams that has 3 things that are weak to it. Galvantula is not really bulky, so the 3 Mons in this team can still hang in the matchups just due to their massive stat product difference. So we end up actually catching a move just to flex, I guess. So I'll be dropping a link to a Quizlet I've been doing. This will basically show the different fast moves and their counts and how many turns they are. I've been practicing a little bit. It only takes a couple hours to get good at knowing the counts for stuff. So another good lead, Jellicent. And then, unfortunately, Vigoroth gets to the Body Slam 1 turn before we get to our first move. So the good thing about the Galvantula lead is that you can lunge and debuff your opponents easily. And so you can really ensure switch by being able to lunge. Unfortunately, they didn't shield the lunge. So we're at a shield deficit here, and then we're almost dead, but I try to go for the mud shot down and just able to get there. Unfortunately, I'm able to get both Hydras off, and then they're not able to get sneak the Hex through on the on the first one, so I was able to throw the second one. And then it's minimal farm for the Jellicent too. And then since I was late on the switch, I wait out the switch clock. So if they let the Jellicent go here, then I can lunge the final Pokemon, which they end up doing. And it's Powder Snow, Alolan Ninetales. The safe play here is to lunge. So I got to get to 3 Rock Slides. So I lunge. The only reason I lunge is because this is their last Pokemon. So they can't clear their debuff. And so Stunfisk is going to take all these Weather Balls really nicely. Unfortunately, I can't really fast move down the Ninetales, so I'm going to have to throw all these Rock Slides, which will really prolong the match here. But when you're getting close to Legend, everyone wants to play out the matches, try to see if they can come up with a win con. So my switch clock actually comes back up, and I didn't want to risk getting farmed down. So I'm able to safely shield and then throw a discharge to win the game. And that is a good game. Next battle. So I actually got on a 16-game winning streak at one point. Unfortunately, this is the one that broke the streak. It would have been nice if I actually recorded the 16-game win streak. So these games are just after the 16-game streak. So I see Hypno lead and then Munchlax on the safe swap. So I'm assuming this is Scrafty in the back since it's a popular team. Unfortunately, I caught the move on Swampert instead of Galarian Stunfisk. I was figuring they're trying to throw right away. But obviously Body Slam is resisted on Stunfisk, and then Scrafty obviously is super effective against Stunfisk, and then it can start ramping up. So we're able to get the final shield here. Unfortunately, I'm like kicking myself because I'm like, it's Scrafty in the back. It's Scrafty in the back. And what do you know? We see the Scrafty come out. So we still have a full health Stunfisk. Unfortunately, he was able to get a lot of energy. So this is going to be a very close finish here. I can't mud shot down. I'm trying to get the guaranteed damage with the Rock Slide, but I didn't really have a lot I could do since all my Pokemon are so low, and I don't think any of them are going to get to another charge move. And by the game's end, you kind of lose count sometimes of what's going on. But I'm going for the sack here. I actually have more health, but he's actually able to just barely hold off on throwing. And so that'll end the streak, and thanks for watching, guys.